up? This your boy Big Man. You already know what it is, man. So let's get right to it. Okay, so let's talk about this Quando Rondo interview, man. Now, we already talked about part one of the interview, right? Now, the interview is titled November 6th. Now, the thing that went down on November 6th, hip-hop will remember forever. It was a tragic event that led to the death of none other than rapper King Von, a Chicago drill artist who was a prominent, star in the hip-hop game and had a nice future ahead of him, right? Now, due to the tragic events, man, there was a lot of speculation, a lot of beef, and a whole bunch of people have been going back and forth ever since. You've seen clicking up in the rap game. It was like the quintessential point where there was a divide in hip-hop. To be honest, it's been a divide ever since. So now you have different cliques in hip-hop because of the events that took place that night. Now, Quando Rondo being at the center of all this controversy, he took to this interview to say his piece in the official format. Like, this is his first official interview about this. Now, he's taken to social media and said some reckless things in the past, but it looks like he's going for a more structured interview, definitely coached through this situation, or either he's very good with his words, but he's bringing to life a lot of realizations that people didn't think about at the time that this whole event took place. Because it's very easy to choose sides, but if you want to take just a fair look at the situation, you got to really analyze what Quando Rondo is saying in the interview. Now, him and Angela Yee are just doing this in a relaxed environment. It seems like rolling around in a car, but it definitely has still that eerie overtone or whatever because of the events that took place. Now, in part one, he pretty much laid the groundwork for what led up to the altercation and his perspective during that situation. And then in this part two, he talked about being ground floor on when the shooting took place. And it was an interesting take to say the least. Now, before we get into the specifics, do me a favor. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And man, let's get it. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about this part two to the November 6th Quando Rondo interview. So in this part, it leaves off where it left off. It starts off where it left off last time. Now, last time in part one, he left off saying he was basically having an out-of-body experience. His body he was pretty much didn't know what was going on. All he knew is some guy was hitting him and he didn't know who it was or whatnot. And man, it was interesting to say the least, because you would think that when King Von and them rushed up on him, he would definitely know who King Von was, and he would definitely know what all this was about. Now, it seems like Quando Rondo is playing it safe and making sure that he leaves it possible for Lil Tim to, use some of this in his case and make sure it doesn't hurt him in his case, I should say. That's probably the best way to say it. It's obvious that he's trying to protect Lil Tim while he's doing this interview, but give his perspective on things as well. Does it seem like he's shooting Lil Tim a lot of bail to give him a possibility to fight his case? Definitely. But he's also given some clues to his perspective as well. So the first instance of that is Angela Yee straight up asked him, like, you didn't know, who was hitting you or whatever. And she didn't ask him. She actually put it out there as a statement, like, you didn't even know who was running up to you, right? And he was like, yeah, I didn't even know. And he really went on he took 2 minutes of the time to explain how he was having an out-of-body experience. And it was almost comical at certain points, even though this is a serious situation, because, he literally took a good 2 minutes to talk about out my spirit. It was like I was levitating up in the sky and I was watching down as this was taking place and all that. I'm like, man, this sounds wild, man. It sounds wild. To be honest, understanding that he definitely wants to protect this homie, boy. But, it's almost unbelievable. Now, Quando Rondo definitely talked about being religious in his soul, too. He said he couldn't really explain it and put it into words, how his soul had left his body or whatnot. And I'm sitting there the whole time listening. I'm like, oh, okay, I get that. But you were actively moving around. You were actively looking for cover. You were actively running from one place to the next. Now, a good part of this, a really revealing part of this is, when you see Quando Rondo and he's over there and he allegedly is being held by King Von while he's going down, and people put out the rumor that Quando Rondo was trying to take King Von's chain, and allegedly Muwop or somebody from O Block side of the game, or somebody from King Von's camp, I should say, ran over there and started piecing up Quando Rondo, while all this was going on. And he said that he was not trying to take King Von's chain. He said he was concerned because Lil Tim And he refuses to say names, which is odd, man. This lets you know that somebody had talked to him previously before this and told him not to say names. He put it in the first part that he didn't want to say names because he felt like it was clout chasing, but he's not even saying his own homeboy's name. He's just saying like, yo, you know, my guy, he was down there on the ground, and we're all thinking like, yo, you mean Lil Tim, your boy? You know, he's all over your page, but regardless, he's like, he was shot 4 times. And I didn't know Lil Tim was shot 4 times that night. He said he had been shot previously. And if you look it up, man, it looks like Lil Tim was in several shooting situations, man, back in Savannah prior to this. So, I mean, that's not to take anything from him, and that's not to give him any additional props. That's just the facts. You know, he obviously was about that life, allegedly. You know what I mean? But Quando Rondo continued to harp on the point that he didn't know what was going on, and he was having an out-of-body experience at the time that all the shooting took place. And he felt that, you know, he was trying to do more helping than harm. Like when he went over to King Von, he didn't express specifically why they were that close to each other and why it looked like he was trying to take his chain. But he definitely said that, you know, a $50,000, $60,000 chain isn't worth all that while all that is going on and shooting is taking place. So he used the analogy that if 2 people were in Afghanistan, a war-torn or in a war situation in, you know, Afghanistan, and it's 2 soldiers shooting at each other, you wouldn't reach down to grab a pot of money. But really, in all realization, that's not the situation at hand. You have 2 people who are shot. King Von is shot, but he's still fighting on. You got Lil Tim, he's shot, but he kind of jumps off a screen. Allegedly, that's what we think we see. At least those are the people that we think we see in those scenes, right? Jumps off a screen, and then a lot more is going on. Then somebody from King Von's side runs up to Quando Rondo, and Quando Rondo is definitely super close to King Von. So how does he go from one place to the next? And you see him walk over there. So I don't know, man. It sounds like it's a lot of cap, man. I hate to do that because I'd love to stay in the middle, but it's obvious, man, to those folks who have seen that video, it seems like he's leaving a lot out of this situation. And Quando Rondo has every right to. I'll say that because, dude, his best homeboy is in the worst situation right now as far as legality is concerned. So anything could be used against him. Like I just did a story yesterday about Queso. Now, Queso is a Jacksonville rap artist you might not know, but he's very tightly close to, you know, Young and Ace. He's a part of ATK and all that, right? They're using his CDs. They're using videos against him. There's so much being used against him in the case. So Quando Rondo is kind of, man, he's limited on what he can say, even though he's providing as many details as he can. Him leaving names out and stuff is obviously for legal reasons, and him kind of painting the story as a haze and that him not being able to understand and process what was going on at the time is definitely in defense of his homeboy, man. No matter what way he tries to chop it up or not, and not saying that Lil Tim is in the wrong or whatnot, and not saying that he's actually guilty of this crime because it's all alleged. We don't know what happened because we can't say specifically because we weren't there. We can only take account for what Quando Rondo is saying, but a lot of it seems like holes and gaps that he's leaving out, and we're only on the second part. Just like the last clip, the last 2 minutes is the most important part. Now, he talks about when after the person got shot or whatever, he didn't know who it was. Like he, with a straight face, he tells Angela Yee that, yo, I didn't know who the dude was that got shot. I didn't even know who that was. Like he doesn't know who King Von is. Like these cats have hung out before. We've seen them in the studio together before. And King Von has a very distinctive look, man. Diamond grill, there's not many dudes you see with a diamond encrusted grill and dreads and look like, man, he has a distinct look. So he said he didn't know it was King Von until he woke up the next day. I don't know who's believing that. And this is obvious that, man, he either has a PR team working with him on this interview and told him what to say, or a lawyer or somebody involved, and he's making sure that he crafts this story so that way he can help out Lil Tim's case. I'm not trying to throw Quando Rondo under the bus. It just seems like he's putting a whole bunch of, extras on it in the department that we don't want to hear about. We want to hear about the real stuff and really get to the nitty gritty of this story. Even though it's still entertaining, man. It's still entertaining. It looks like, man, this is definitely a PR type of move, to be real with y'all, man. Now, I'm going to watch every part of it because we do get to learn new things each time that they drop one of these. And I guess they're going to drop them every day. But what do you guys think? Do you think that Quando Rondo is being genuine in his assessment and what he's saying about the night and the things that took place? Or do you believe there's some influence there that is making sure there's a level of protection for his homeboy in his legal case? Now, with that, this has been your boy Big Man. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And make sure you hit that notification bell so that way you get a notification every time I drop this hot content. And we out of here. Peace.